The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball for a 10% discount on your legal fees. Three of us here. Dan, Michael's there as well, as is Moscow White as well, Daniel Chapman. Here is part 2 of the show, the heroes and villains bit, where we pick a Ken Bates villain of the week first, and then a Gaetano Berardi hero of the week afterwards. So who's annoyed us this week then? And we've got loads of nominations coming from our TSP Plus members. What they're saying, Michael, tell me.
Scum.
Scum.
Very, very regular nominees in this for the obvious.
Didn't have the good grace to beat Everton, did they?
So fucking useless.
Weird, aren't they? I mean, I started watching that game and I said to one of my mates, I was like, I've got a feeling like Man United have got the measure of Everton here. Like, it's just a matter of time they'll score. But it was all just so one-paced, wasn't it? And then as soon as they went behind, pathetic.
I didn't watch this because I knew it'd be terrible. But it was one of those. I wasn't entirely surprised just because they're such an odd team at the moment. It felt like Solskjaer was probably a dreadful manager, and I think he probably was. But maybe his idea of more or less letting the players do as they want, maybe that actually got the best out of them, because they don't seem to be taking kindly to being told to do stuff. And it seems like Ronaldo's winning example he was meant to be setting. Oh, he knows how to win trophies. He's done it all. They get the respect to the lads. No one's going to have the custard. All this sort of fucking nonsense that was talked. It turns out they're losing to soon to be relegated teams. He's busy smashing up children's phones, and he's probably the biggest child of everyone.
Well, we've got nominations for him. I mean, there's a lot of the words that are put in the nominations for the scum. I mean, can't say that. That's
character.
That's libelous.
Yep. I can't read some of these. But yeah, why can't he score against Everton? We've heard the Everton fans saying listing every defender in the squad and saying how shit they all are.
Ben Godfrey does too much for Cristiano Ronaldo to do. Did he even play? I can't remember who they had in the side. They just keep kicking it down the road to scum. Like, nobody in the entire building has a clue what to do. So they got rid of Solskjaer because nobody wanted to play for him anymore. They got Ranić in for a bit. Then they're going to try and replace him with someone, but they don't know who. And then, so who is that manager going to sign? Well, don't know who they are, so we don't know who they'll want. Like, so when are we going to sort that out? Don't know. Do it later. Do they even have? They have got a managing director now, haven't they? Because Woodward's effed off, but either the new person, they still have to. Everything is still laser written. It's also slow, and they're not really interested anymore because everybody gives them a hard time.
And Ferguson's still there stalking the halls as well, isn't he?
Exactly. And if he speaks, they'll have to listen and drop all their ideas, and it's just like, yeah, it's a complete mess, and it's great. It's just a shame that they couldn't sort of keep it together enough. I mean, they beat us twice, so why couldn't they beat Everton?
Why? But they tried against us on both occasions, whereas they didn't really try against Everton, which feels a little bit naughty.
I mean, there may be some element of that if you just have enough people not wound up about the atmosphere of the game and stuff, and maybe not responding to it as well. And the only thing Everton have really got going for them is their home form. They're desperately clinging to the idea that that's going to save them, and it seemed to be enough.
It might.
I think with scum, like against us at Elland Road, they had the opportunity. One, that it's a big game, it's the Wars of Roses, so everybody's up for it, and two, that kind of the way we played meant they had chances and they could win. But I think the deal with them is, if it looks like it's going to be a bit difficult, just
don't fancy it.
Don't bother. No. It's too hard. So once Maguire has scored for Everton, it's well, if he's going to do that, why should I bother? It's like, what? Just whatever.
Yeah, and you get the feeling like now Ronaldo knows he's not going to win anything. He just don't want anything. He doesn't want to be part of it. He's not happy. He's not happy. He doesn't think he deserves to be playing in a team that isn't winning something, and so he just acts like a cock.
He immediately went away straight off the game. He was off abroad somewhere, just on holiday.
I bet it wasn't America.
No, it was not America.
No.
Why? Just like the culture.
No,
fair enough.
Just a bit too far for this break during the week.
That's
all I'm going to say.
Fortunately, the only influence they really have on us from here on is they play Norwich, but I mean, Norwich is so far irrelevant now. They're kind of out of any kind of relegation trouble, so they can no longer interfere with our proper business, which is as I like it.
Ronaldo himself does get a number of mentions. There are some libelous things in here that I can't say, and please don't say either. But he smashed a child's phone, and that's bad.
He apologised though on Instagram. Didn't actually get in touch with the child himself.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
No, he was kind of that.
If it was on Instagram, what was it? A video or was it?
No, he just put a text caption underneath the photo of himself.
He probably hadn't written that then.
Basically saying that because he's just so used to winning that he finds it difficult to lose, so he smashed up a child's phone and he's sorry about that. But if they want to go and see a game at Old Trafford, that's fine. And then the parent of said child was like, "We've not actually tried. We haven't heard from you. So just writing on social media that you're giving us some free tickets just makes you look good and doesn't actually do anything for us. And also, my kid doesn't want to go to Old Trafford. He never wants to see you again."
He just does want a new phone, though. Give him that.
Yes, he wants a new phone.
I think a public flogging.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit old-fashioned. No.
The temerity to get in Ronaldo's way.
Yeah, I know it's not the modern way of doing things, but I feel in this occasion it'd be justified.
Should we go Dark Ages on his ass?
Yes, exactly. A public stoning for him. Fair enough.
You can't be lashing out at kids in the crowd. Oh yeah, who you are or what's happening, and it's not even like somebody was, chucking.
He's a 36-year-old grown man.
It's not even like somebody was chucking a bottle at his head or something. It's just somebody was filming his legs.
Yeah.
And that somehow provokes that reaction. It's not a good sign. It says a lot about him.
I bet you've never had bother when you've been filming men's legs, Michael.
No. You learn your methods over the years, don't you? So you get away with it. I think the challenge now is to get Frank Lampard to smash a child's phone before the end of the season. I reckon if you're trying to film his bald spot, that'd probably make him do it.
You're enjoying this a great deal, aren't you?
Just go behind him. What you do? Nothing. Just he'll snap.
Well, just better turn the ISO value down there. It's a bit of glare and so on and so forth.
It was great. The weather conditions at Burnley really didn't help his hair at all. I know he did his best to put it back together for the post-match interviews when he was in the dry, but the photos of him and the videos of him out on the pitch in the torrential rain, great. Enjoy that hair where you've got it, Frank.
Well, Jesse, lovely thick head of hair.
As stressed, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being bald.
No.
We have a fine example of the form sitting right next to me. It's just hilarious how much it will hurt Lampard. Most people style it out, just get used to it. It's an acceptable part of growing older, and it comes to people at different stages in their lives. Lampard, he's never known adversity, so he will just be, looking at his hair going, go back in. I can picture him with tufts of hair in his hand, putting it back in the sink, slapping himself on it, trying to put it back. It won't go back on.
He just needs to start growing again. That's what he needs to do.
I've told my hair that it needs to grow thicker, so I don't know what more I'm supposed to do.
Right into his MP. Give your hand and it starts growing again.
He's been nominated a few times anyway. For
beating Everton. For beating Scum, that's the other side. That was bad that Scum lost to them, but also Lampard did some villainy for engineering. Well, he didn't engineer the win, did he? He just took it, didn't he?
He's a facilitator, Moscow. That's how he sees himself. A
facilitator of
boss,
shit.
It's not a boss first, is it? What, friend first, boss second, entertainer third. Jake Humphrey gets a mention again for that bit on BT Sport that we mentioned, where absolutely nauseating defence of Lampard from him and his acolytes. I think that pretty much deals with that game. Back to Leeds related stuff. Andre Mariner, referee, gets a mention.
Yeah, I suppose he goes in with the Kuchka and João Pedro both had a few occasions, didn't they, where they were busy rolling around.
And to buy that one in particular, the click little. I think his foot went quite close to him, which was enough to make him go down. He just hooked his foot around clicks, didn't he, and then fell. To buy that, to give a free kick for that in a Premier League game with everything that's at stake, come on.
And the João Pedro one, he was the one who was rolling around holding his face as if he'd had his eye spooned clean out. When I think he'd actually, I think he'd had like a touch of his eyebrow or something, and he'd kind of gone down in. And that was Click as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because he ended up shouting at him on the ground, which was good. I think there should be more of that. Shouting at players, even if, as Roy Keane was, they're badly injured.
Particularly if it's Roy Keane, eh?
He brought that on himself, though, didn't he? He was trying to foul. He's trying to foul David Weatherall, wasn't he? And it all went badly wrong. And then Alfie Haaland shouted at him, So he ended Haaland's career. Reasonable response. Yet again, it's like, smacking a phone out of a child's hand because they're filming your legs, snapping Alfie Haaland's knee because he shouted at you once. It makes you think there may be a culture at that club that needs burning down.
We're getting some pelters here. Jack says, you miserable lot. Absolutely massive win, 6-pointer. First clean sheet in 6 months, 3 goals, a win in London. Watford is basically London. And you barely crack a smile.
It's not really.
No,
It'll do. For the purposes of the curse, it's applicable.
Only Ryanair would claim it to be London.
Disgusting, says Jack. Nowhere Man simply calls us miserable twats. And the ghost of Neil Warnock says, you lot constantly moaning about the style of play under Marsh. We won 3-0 because of it. Because it wasn't Bielsa in the dugout at the end of a 7-0 thrashing, you can suddenly turn your nose up at a very critical 3 points. No, I'm not at all.
3 valid points, because I wasn't here and I fully agree with them. I think this is absolutely accurate assessment.
I do think we addressed it over on Propaganda. Go and watch it there. But it's a stress response, I think, and giving up possession all the time is really hard to come to terms with when you've seen such nice football. But separate results from style. We've said that, and I really enjoyed the result, and I enjoyed it more when I got to match of the day stage that night. Very, very happy. Watched it again last night, like the whole second half. Absolutely fine. Loved it. Very, very happy.
Yeah, and I think particularly after the Burnley defeat at Norwich, I was just like, yeah, don't really care. Don't care who won it. It's fine. Just.
I was having a lovely afternoon, full time, cheering. Very happy. Harrison's goal, in fact, 2 fists in the air.
Double fisting.
I shouted the words, you son of a bitch, and just great times. So maybe you just make each other miserable.
It's toxic.
It's just Leeds. It's stress. Can't cope with stress. If and when our safety is confirmed, I know I'm going to feel like a massive weight has been lifted. That's how it felt when we got promoted. As much as like post Barnsley, as we said, like we were angry at them for winning post Barnsley.
On the general miserable side of things, Mike is calling out. He calls out every dickhead crying over the style of football. He said, I'm a big Bielsa fan as anyone. Being a nerd who reads Jonathan Wilson books, I cried when he was sacked, but I could see the logic behind it. I'm amazed people could watch Joel fucking Matip and other wank centre-backs walk into our box and score week after week, then say Marsh's football will relegate us.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. I think it's effective. Just because it's not as beautiful doesn't mean it's less effective. I think it's more effective, to be perfectly honest. And I think given where we are in our evolution, if we're going to use that word, I think we're probably more suited to getting mid-table Premier League status with this style of play, because all the things that we picked holes in about Bielsa, it seems to have largely been addressed, even if it's not pretty.
We finished 9th.
You're sorry? We
finished 9th. We had mid-table Premier League status last season, and then we just had a bad season.
No, but I mean, like, generally, in an ongoing sense, in moving ourselves up into that group that's not this group.
Done it once. We could have done it next season with Bielsa. We'll never know.
Well, this is the point, yeah. Rafinha gets mentioned about his goal celebration.
I thought it was hilarious.
Did he mean to? Because he held his knee at one point. Like, oof, that hurt.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely hurt himself, and he shouldn't do it, but it's great. It's one of the reasons why Barcelona and PSG should just stop sniffing around him. He's not slick enough.
No.
Even the thing where he went and put the headphones on the bench, he seemed to just find the seat where the Sky reporter normally sits, and so just for a laugh, just goes and sits in that seat and put the headphones on to listen to the commentary, and then they say, "Oh, can you hear us, Rafinha?" And he's giving a big goofy wave.
Yeah.
Like Neymar
loved it.
Neymar must look at that and the celebration and just think, this guy's absolute deadbeat. He would drag us down. And he did his little dance at the end, so he's almost like he's learning. But imagine trying to pull that off, and you turn around and there's Neymar just staring at you. It's like, just get out of my team.
Too rough around the edges. Yeah. Don't do it.
So they need to just and I don't think it'll fit in at Barcelona as well, because they're trying to raise the standards. They don't need, if they've already got Traore and they've got Aubameyang and all these kind of cast-offs that they're kind of putting together. It's all a bit ragged and not cool, and they need to get the cool back. And I don't think Rafinha, for his beautiful play, he's just going to be too weird for them if he's going to keep doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can't have personality.
I can picture him messing up a knee slide in the Spotify camp, and 100,000 people throwing cushions at him because it's dragging the good name of the club. Now we are more than a club. We do knee slides properly here. Don't laugh. You see all the coverage of like whenever Gareth Bale fucking breathes on the bench at Real Madrid, they have a camera on him and somebody's like doing lip reading of the people who are sitting next to him and what they're all saying and stuff. Imagine the analysis of Rafinha messing up a knee slide and then going and sitting on the bench with headphones on. Just like, it just does not fit.
It'll never work.
He'll have to just stay here. We will deal with all his little foibles for as long as
I will say
we want.
credit to Gareth Bale for he got some sort of sponsorship deal from a big golf brand, didn't he, ahead of the Masters, and he was hawking it off on his social, which I think is a brilliant way to respond to Marker, who went to town on him, didn't they, about his golfing habits. Anyway, whoever injured Joffrey's got to mention, whichever Palace player it was who damaged.
Joffrey hurt himself.
No, let's blame it on Palace.
He got around a Palace player and then I think they kind of brought him down, but he landed on top of the ball, thigh first. I think that's what seemed to do for him, so only got himself to blame.
There's a couple of good Watford nominations for no reason whatsoever. Just picking on people for being more or less Mankhead Starling. Once nominated Foster, didn't do anything wrong, but just give it up, lad. You're pushing 40 and dicking around with a GoPro. Just move on. She's not coming back. And also Roy Hodgson from Jelly says, you're 109 Howarholics and tend to your garden, you absolute madman.
I'd put that in the heroes column for Hodgson. I'm kind of admiring how, I don't know why he went there.
It's weird, isn't it?
He doesn't seem to care. But he's dropping, I mentioned it in, I think, propaganda, that his post-match press conference was like dropping the truth bombs out there. It was like, I don't want to talk about confidence because people will put headlines that I'm saying things that I don't believe in, and I can't train confidence. He's being very clear about the things he can and can't do as a manager that I don't think you got from him earlier in his career when he'd be a bit more cagey, but he's now...
Doesn't give a shit, does he?
He's 110.
Yeah.
He does not care what anybody thinks about it. And if Watford go down, he was like, well, fuck it, I tried. Who else was going to do any better? So
just go to my caravan and have a nice time.
Yeah, and I don't understand why he's not, stayed retired, but I kind of can get it a bit more now, seeing how he's gone along with it, with all the fans on his back about making substitutions. He's a bit like, I don't give a toss.
Not asked. Right, Gary Lineker gets a mention as well by Adsham. Says, crisp shagger, Gary Lineker still banging on about Marsh being American in his interview on Match of the Day, because he mentioned Ted Lasso, didn't he, of course. Something quite unsettling about him having to say he knows that people don't like his accent and he has to try to use the right words. Yeah, that's going to be this season's Bielsa burnout, isn't it? It's going to be...
It's just not it's just not that interesting to mention every time. It was addressed... I thought he'd done well addressing it, first of all, because I thought it might stop people mentioning it. But it hasn't.
Nobody fucking listens.
So what he needs to do is more interviews.
That's it. We had Bielsa not learning English until the day that he left, and afterwards, and he addressed that right at the start as well. And all the way through, he explained it in full, what he was doing, why he did it, that he wanted to not have to filter his thoughts through a foreign language that he doesn't understand. So if he says it all in Spanish, all anybody has to do is translate it, and they understand perfectly what he's trying to express, and so there's no difficulty in communication. No, I should just speak English. You can explain it till you're blue in the face, and Jesse Marsh will go on and go, well, I'm American, that's why I have this accent. Yeah. But thank you for bringing it up again. Let's just go, a Ted Lasso joke. Yeah, and as it's in the latest magazines, Fiona Kyle points out, Ted Lasso's a great manager.
Yeah.
Very successful, does all the right things with all the things you want to do. So it's not even like I'm going, Ted Lasso, good. He wins things as far as I'm aware. I've not seen a minute of it.
I was going to say it's not quite true, but Watford mentioned Wisconsin Todd, describing him as no marks, Reading FC with an Elton John soundtrack, and not even good Elton John either. 1990s era Elton John. Please hit the bricks.
It's that
the yellow bricks.
The video of Elton John doing it was I'm Still Standing in lockdown.
Up standing.
Yeah,
that one.
Yep.
Not his finest.
And another Watford mention. Ken Bates Stole My Seat wants to nominate the Watford Screamer, which did you pick that up on the effects mics? Whoever it was that whenever I think we went forward, somebody was a child or whatever going.
There was a gaggle of them. I was listening on headphones.
Like being described like a goat being strangled.
Yeah, I think they'd put an effects mic near wherever the kids section was.
The ones that they always turn off when they get near the Leeds fans.
Yes.
for various reasons.
Yeah, they thought there might be safer near the children, but instead it was just much more shrill.
A non-Watford Leeds interface here from Southampton. Philip says, Southampton, seriously, what the F? 6-0 against Chelsea. Why didn't they do that last week? Makes you think.
Yes, is that what did you use your time off to from the podcast to listen to any Matt Le Tissier videos? Anything interesting you've come across?
Invest my time in. I'm fairly comfortable not paying attention to Matt Le Tissier.
You'd have had time to graduate from the Facebook University if you'd have wished in the hour or two you missed from doing the podcast.
There was a low-level grind here by Boniemu suggesting that linesmen and women had enough of this shite now. Just flag for offside, you knobs.
It is really annoying.
Yeah, just put it up, because they sometimes do and sometimes don't. So just do it.
Yeah, Melia made a good save, didn't he, in this game? I mean, maybe it's good. It let him show off. He didn't have many saves to make, did he?
He had sore ribs or sore whatever was still hurting. So the less he had to do, the better he can. I don't think, has he been nominated for a hero?
Probably I think he gets one.
Oh yeah, there is. Okay, because playing through the pain.
Now, if you're a little bit sensitive to very mild poking of fun at Jesse Marsh, just close your ears for the next 30 seconds, because Alan wants to nominate the Leeds United groundsman. Says, remember when this lot were the heroes for making our pitch playable last season? Great bunch of lads. Well, what an easy task they have now ahead. They only have to look after the middle third of the pitch, because the width will remain untouched, in pristine condition, etc. There you go. Punchline. Badum. Right, pick out a villain of the week.
Well, it's either Scum or Ronaldo, isn't it? Depends whether we want to personify it or just give it to an entity.
Ronaldo will just smash it, won't he? Like a phone. So, not putting anything in his hands is for the better. So does Scum in general, I think. It sums it up, although I do find them amusing.
Okay, fine. Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week Award nominations, please. Oh, there's a lot for Liam Cooper. Right, so I'll tell you what, we'll give the main body of nominations and then pick out some reasons. So Cooper gets nominations, Rodrigo, not quite as many, but plenty. The Rodrigo chant as well. Let's start with those three. They seem to be taking up the majority of nominations.
Yeah, Mike on Cooper says, I don't think in the history of the club a single player has proved so many people wrong over and over again. It is fair with Cooper, because he's never loved, is he, particularly? I think this comeback is as near as I've seen to people wanting him in the team. It feels like everyone's wanted, throughout 10 managers, no one's ever wanted him in the team, but managers always want him in the team, more or less, other than Gary Monk, who, as we know now, was a snake. So, yeah, he's been brilliant since he came back, and to have had such a long time out and have come back like running in the way he has is amazing.
There was that moment on Saturday when he put it out, did Cooper, sort of in the right back position. He just passed it straight into touch because Meslier was behind him, and I don't think Meslier called for it, and he turned around and he did that gesture with his hand, as in talk, and that's what he's there for, just the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah, his experience is looking well on him. Everything he's learnt over the last few years, even from before Bielsa, stood him in good stead for being a Premier League defender. I think there's sort of the calls to get him back in. He was benefiting a bit from that kind of the player out the team is always the answer thing, but justifiably, because he's a great antidote to Diego Llorente.
He's a confusing presence.
Yeah, he had his moments again on Saturday, but with Cooper alongside him, who I think probably has the confidence to put Llorente in his place when he needs to. He just makes the defence better. It's weird. He'll just always be one of those conundrums. You'll never look at him and say, "Yep, there's a real legend of football, Van Dijk combined with Maldini in one big body." But whatever he does, just makes the team better. So good.
And the defence as a whole was not brilliant actually on the weekend either. I thought they were, other than Cooper, I thought they were all a little bit shoddy at points.
The distribution was erratic, but I thought actually we defended quite well. Like I said, having rewatched it, I thought we defended all right, albeit it was a bit industrial at times.
Dallas just he was chasing that guy up the wing so many times. He just kept getting past him too easily and then crossing from that side, and that's probably one of the ways that Cooper ended up having a good game, is because he was clearing all those things. But then that's down to, if we had a left back, then Dallas wouldn't be playing there. You could be in midfield and doing different things. So it's kind of, that's where Cooper being there to kind of solve, to be the last line of defence, to solve the problems that we have because of the players we have in those positions, it's good. How am I putting this? It's good that Stuart Dallas can afford to have a bad game and not end up conceding loads of goals, because we've got Liam Cooper there to sort it out. And that's how it should be in a team, is that you should have players who, if one player is having a bad day, there are other players who can sort it out and make sure it doesn't matter. And Cooper seems to have that kind of magnetism that whatever is going on around him. I think he was definitely the best of those three players. Of the four players in the back four, he was better than the other three, and was a big part of making sure that we kept a clean sheet.
Yeah, and
we do not keep clean sheets.
He can stay for a bit longer, can't he? That's the
stay as long as he wants.
I think I don't know why I weirdly thought about David Weatherall this week in relation to Cooper, in that when we sold him, a lot of people were like, we probably need someone a bit better than David Weatherall, and we didn't really get anyone better in the end. We got Michael Dewberry, and I know we brought in Ferdinand, and he would have essentially been a bench player for us, but he'd have been a better bench player than Michael Dewberry, and he would have cost less, and we already had him, and we knew about his character and what he brought to the club as a whole, so let him stay.
Weatherall should have played for England. He was good enough, and it was always the one of the great tributes to kind of how Leeds United regards its players was when Ridsdale, who thought he understood Leeds fans, said afterward, it was when we signed Seth Johnson, and he said, this proves that we have moved on from the David Weatheralls and Bob Molinars of this world. And every Leeds fan who heard that went, what the hell was wrong with Weatherall and Molinar? We love them. They fucking gave absolutely everything to this club. They played their hearts out week in, week out, and they were both at Bradford going, what the fuck, why are you dragging us into this? And Molinar went public on it and got an apology out of Ridsdale, but it just, and Cooper will have that, where for all the criticism, and we will call him League One Liam till at the end of his days. But if anybody tries to criticise him and say that he's not been in that Ridsdale style, say we've moved on, they'll say, well, Cooper got promotion with us. He was captain. Like you can't have too much of a go at him. We can criticise him and call him funny names. But if anybody tries to be mean about him, they should not.
I like to think Bob Molinар went to Ridsdale's house to get that apology. So what you been saying about me, Pete? Why are you dressed as a bus driver?
Yeah, disdain.
Well, Weatherall was throwing test tubes at him.
Yes. On Liam Cooper, Johnny Wow says, I almost cried myself thinking about him almost crying when he talked to the team after the match. Must have been quite an important moment for Cooper.
That was a bit weird.
Oh, come on. We're in touch with our feelings. Wow. Anyway, let's get on to Rodrigo. Before we get into these, I want to say hi to Holly, who tweeted me after the game. And I'd forgotten I'd said this, but then I saw it in evidence again when Rodrigo scored. I said ages ago, he celebrates like a 5-year-old. Like such unbridled childlike joy on his face when he scores a goal. Like he basically just runs screaming with his mouth open and his arms out like kids do, which I think is great.
He the ball up in the air on this one as well, didn't he? Which was nice.
Right in the back of the stand, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was nice. Well, we did. It's not been mentioned anywhere. Luke Ayling hitting the roof of the stands, scoreboard with a shot, which was, I remember seeing Paul Beasley do that once at the South Stand end, and it was, I don't think I've ever seen it since. It's and he laughed about it too, which was nice. We missed Ayling's pratfall the other week as well, didn't we? He's good to have a bout, isn't he? He's a laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's there as the entertainment, isn't he? At very least, never mind whatever qualities he has as a footballer. But yeah, back to Rodrigo. He's dead good, isn't he, now? It seems like this suits him a lot more than Bielsa ball.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he was particularly brilliant in this game as a whole. I didn't think he was involved as much as he has been in recent weeks, but scored, didn't he? But
the whole performance was shitter though, wasn't it?
Scored whilst playing up front, which is good.
Yeah, and he did a nice little half turn, I think, around the centre circle and released. I think he might have been Jackie down the left at one point. Just those little flashes of quality were there. Stuff that you didn't see. There were no Watford players linking up properly. He was, though, for us. Good.
It kind of fits with the nominations for Sam Greenwood as well. And then when Marsh was saying afterwards that he needs to find a way to use Greenwood more and Joffy more and Somerville more and Cree more, which is the same person. I think we ran out of names. But it does give us an option if Greenwood can do the job that Rodrigo is being asked to do. and get the assists that Rodrigo did not while he was playing there, and then we can stick Rodrigo up front instead of Dan James. It's a little bit of options, and as we were saying,
there's through balls to Nketiah next season as well.
Well, I mean, it might work, because there was a, when we're talking about, we mentioned on propaganda, I think that the Greenwood's adaptation just consists of just like sticking that ball up the middle for somebody to chase onto, and that's kind of an element of the football playing. You don't have to be precise. It's kind of built in that you can just do these, hit the areas and stick to kind of principles of like, if you just hit the ball up the middle, somebody will chase it and get there, whereas Rodrigo seemed to be trying to get it on Dan James's feet, and James has that habit of kind of trying to let the ball come to him rather than going to it. So it worked well. And so if the rest of the season is just Sam Greenwood at 10, just like pinging balls towards the goalkeeper for Rodrigo, or even, I suppose you can't really drop Rodrigo to let Dan James carry on up front, but Rodrigo can play the first half, Dan James the second half. God, we've got so many multifaceted players.
Such options, Moscow.
This enormous squad full of options.
Do you like the new Rodrigo chant? That's good, isn't it?
It is good.
I like that. We're trying to decipher from back here, sat in the studio on Saturday, exactly what it was, but we do know. We just basically, his name is whoa Rodrigo, whoa, right now.
Good.
Yeah,
we need more songs. On the mentioning little scum bastard there, he gets Marsh's Mayhem, nominates him for his relentless pressure, and kind of links to him. Sean G nominates his partner Emma, who, despite not really supporting football, the other day walked into the room when I was watching the game, heard the name James, and asked how the little scum bastard was doing. Poor James. Do we ever stop calling him that? Or no? Okay, good.
It will always be affectionate. And
term of endearment.
Yeah, and I feel a bit sorry for him at the moment. Just saying how kind of dispensable he is up front. He's getting absolutely nothing, isn't he? He's running his little heart out every single match, and he needs it would be nice for him to score a goal, wouldn't it? Well, I think he'd like it.
He'll get one of those opportunities, a bit like the Watford mishap at the back that let Rodrigo in, and he'll run through and he'll get that chance and he'll miss.
Like Tyler Roberts against Southampton last season, where he has like 3 chances at it and finally gets it in. He just needs one of those, just a ball in there, just some reward for constantly scampering about.
Did you see the goal Gaza scored in that game the other day?
No.
Oh, they basically let him score in like a kind of a Legends testimonial type game. It was bad. It was like the sort of level of something you'd present to a mascot at the start of a game, where people like Gaza score, come on, give it to it, let him have an open net to do it.
Keep diving out of the way. And
it was terrible.
Roy Hodgson with the through ball.
We get a number of nominations for Jackie as well, who's on a little bit of a hot streak at the minute. He's kind of low key coming to form, hasn't he, Jackie?
Well, Boney M kind of encapsulates that, which is Harrison, I guess. Has he really scored 3 and 3? Can someone check that? Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, he's doing well, isn't he, at the minute?
He's a son of a bitch.
Rodrigo is 3 and 4. Like, players are on streaks.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Hot streak of form.
Who knows what's happening?
Nod towards Somerville as well, because I liked that little bit where he fell over, but then he scooped the ball out from between 2 players and ran up the wing. That was nice. Greenwood as well gets some mentions as well.
Be a big benefit for these lads when we have 5 substitutes next season. It's going to be
Marsh said, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't like that rule. I think changing half a team goes against sort of football principles to me. Makes it too easy. But the fact
would you say no subs?
No, some, but being able to bring on an entire new team, like Barnsley were doing it in the Championship, weren't they? Where he was just running all the players into the ground in the first half, knowing that he could bring on a new front 5. It's kind of a special teams element to it that I don't like, but it means there's more opportunity for Greenwood and Somerville and Joffrey and Somerville to play. Then that's good.
Jesse Marsh obviously gets a few mentions here as well. That even the people who are not entirely sold on the style, everybody appreciates that it's been far more effective in these games because we've got the points on the board, and hopefully looks like the ship is being turned around and all that. Roger suggests that because he's doing a great job, he should wear tighter trousers.
Not sure of the logic of that necessarily, but are we suggesting they need to be looser when we lose games but tighter when we win them?
Although it was mentioned as well about the XJ, the X jeans, expected jeans, that the navy blue, the dark jeans seem to be outperforming the grey stonewashed ones, so he needs to stick to them.
I was wondering about that because the bench, Mark Jackson and everybody else were all wearing tracksuits and trainers, and there's Jesse in his jeans and his nice jumper. I do wonder how that decision sort of gets made. Like if maybe Mark Jackson is one day is like, oh, I bought some new shoes. I thought I might wear them at the game. Like, you are not wearing those. I'm the one who gets to wear nice shoes. So but all clubs are like that, and I don't know who makes that rule of like that Pep Guardiola can go out in like a Manchester hoodie and the rest of his staff just have to wear wind cheaters. Like,
but he's the most photographed one. He's on camera most often, so Puma are going to give him that and say wear that.
Yeah, I think there's an element as well. I was rationalising. I think if you're involved in the warm up, like Jackson and co, I can't remember the rest of them. There's Toshak's son, isn't there? Will be out there kicking the balls with players, whereas Jesse Marsh just chats to Adam Forshaw for 20 minutes and does nothing. But he has to go on television afterwards, and so he has got to look smart. But you know,
hey, looking smart.
It's an interesting world. Isn't
Cox
it?
torn shirt enjoyed by people. He says, Wisconsin Todd says, it was almost as if it was done on purpose, like he was going to spring break '87 in Fort Lauderdale to defend his beer bong title. Does that mean beer pong?
Beer pong?
Yeah.
Or beer bong, maybe that's
beer
different.
Bong might be a different thing, yeah.
Inhaling beer sounds like a bad idea.
Suggests that the lilac only added to the vibe, but the Lucky Lilac kit now, unbeaten in it, by the way. Pookie, Norwich, Smith, picked out by a number of people for putting a nail into Burnley's coffin. Nathaniel, I enjoyed Nathaniel's comment suggesting that beautiful bulldog-faced bastard Norwich beating Burnley was massive for us.
Tom Humphreys points out Norwich a great bunch of lads, but not Jake Humphrey, which goes back to the... I was thinking about the Lampard thing, and I tried to find it on the BT Sport channel. Did they ever sit around with Humphrey, Ferdinand and Joe Cole and go, oh, we've had this tweet about how Sean Dyche is doing at Burnley. Do we think that's fair? I mean, you know, he's had Weghorst in there. Is he really... They don't know a fucking thing about him, and they don't care. They only care about their friends. And they don't deserve to have friends. But they do deserve the friends they've got, because I would not want to be friends with Frank Lampard.
Okay.
So they can be friends all the way to hell.
Si was at a wedding, by the way, on Saturday. It's the third time lucky wedding that's been cancelled by multiple bouts of COVID, and he enjoyed very much the vibrating phones as Leeds went ahead like half the wedding, all going, oh, Leeds have scored, which is good.
And he said, yeah, just seeing the goal app, it made him think we turned into Man City overnight.
Which we did, yeah.
3-0. Great performance.
Yeah,
nothing to be complained about.
Come on, let's have
Did we ever get to the bottom of what happened to our friend who was in A&E? Have they been back in touch, or are they?
Yeah, did tweet said okay. Yeah. The heart monitor should say that was on the match ball, wasn't it? It's, that the heart monitor had been going off. We don't know exactly why that person was in. I can't remember his name as well. That might have been a SI as well. But anyway, in A&E for some complaint, and the heart monitor alert kept going off because Leeds fan and the staff are like, I get it now. But anyway, things have stabilised and we're all fine.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
I did see a tweet the other day of it was I think it might be the playoff final that Millwall were in, and they'd hooked a fan of each up to a heart monitor, and the Millwall went up to 200, which may be
that's high.
I mean, certain things will do that to you. We'll get the old pulse racing.
Right, okay, then let's pick a hero of the week. Is it Coops?
Yeah,
the Coopton.
Yeah. Did he win last week as well?
I don't know. He might have done.
God, we don't give any kind of gravitas to this award, do we? Can't even remember who won the bloody thing last week.
7 days ago, Michael.
Well, if you've got it, Coops, just keep hold. You get it for ages now as well.
Don't return it. Yeah, don't return the award. Are we all in agreement there on Cooper? Because good performance.
Yeah, it was a game that generally lacked much fun, but
we don't need a tier 4 acceptance speech.
I want one
on this one.
No, I want one.
Still does. I mean, it's fine to be emotional, but it was away to Watford. It's like, just pack up and go home. It's fine. We won 3-0. Great.
I'm glad you can be confident, Moscow. Right, that wraps up the show for this week. Then we'll be back with, we've got the preview for Palace, weekly show next week, so no match ball, no propaganda, just the FA Cup semi-finals.
And the Buttercup, of course, if you're a TSB Plus subscriber.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that maintains our cup interests for this season, doesn't it? A Final Four showdown of crap low knees that we've had in the last 15 to 20 years.
If that's not enough, there is going to be Alan's son.
Yes.
There's
yeah.
Just balancing out the entertainment.
Not to mention as well, comedian Maisie Adam as well. We've got a chat with Maisie coming up, so look out for that, and we will see you next time.
The Square Ball Podcast.